Now we can start. It's like in the movies. And now, for our main event, in the Red Ring. I met our guest speaker at another event. It's called Portland REI. It's a meetup, and for those of you who don't know, it's a real estate investor networking group very similar to this. Chris Mers, he puts on a fantastic event. It's absolutely worth checking out. So, after the event, I got chatting with Jordan, very approachable guy, and he invited us to one of his projects, one of his sites. I'm pointing at Michael because that's where I met Michael too. So it was a property that he just acquired, and then a week later we toured it, and he shared what his plans were for the property and turning it into cottage clusters, and that to me was really fascinating. And I fell in love with his openness to share and share the things that he's learned through trial and error, because after all, he's a CPA. Like not a real estate investor from the get-go, but he's a realtor now. And a little side note, he's a realtor now, and the reason he says is because I just got tired of having to call my realtor to see properties, and it's like, well, yeah, of course, that makes all the sense in the world. So, anyways, he's spent the past decade permitting and developing now, at this point, over 120 units right here in Portland. So, give it up for Mr. Jordan Tietz of Jasmine Investors.
Hey everybody, what's up? Hey.
What's up?
What's up? Hey. Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. Yeah, I'm lucky I found this path of entrepreneurship and real estate. It's the right thing for me, for sure. But also kick your ass, too. For sure. As I was doing this, I made it all fancy with Claude and stuff. You know, I'm not a designer or anything. But I kind of was reflecting on, like, what I would want to know had I started at the beginning. And I was kind of trying to root it in, I don't know, just the lessons I've learned from all the people that have mentored me and helped me, because I would say that this entire business is about people, and my vision is only because of all these people, and all the things I've fucked up and all the money that I've lost because of my dumb ideas help me pivot and help me change my strategy and help me survive, you know what I mean? And to speak to the context, you know, it's like a hard market right now, you know what I mean? So it's not like development's like so easy right now or so popular or anything, you know what I mean? I think ADUs are cool because it's kind of maybe the great equalizer. It's like a good way for a lot of people to start and not risk as much money or as much complexity, you know? And the city of Portland has tried in many ways to make it more easy, you know what I mean? As much as it's a slow thing and everyone hates Portland and all that kind of shit. It's all true, but but it's also people just trying to figure out, like, how do you increase affordable housing? How do you increase density? And how do you, like, incentivize just regular homeowners to add units? And so I think ADUs is really answering that question. Like, how do you add density where regular people can do it, where it doesn't have to be developers doing it? And I would say that developers aren't, maybe not in this market, not today, aren't doing that many ADUs right now. But a couple years ago, we're doing like ADUs, turn them into condos, sell them. Like, that's like a play that's happened a million times, you know. And it was like a way to get around the city's bullshit, because the condo process is a state process, right? So you could permit ADUs more quickly than other units, and then you could, by condoize them, sell them individually. So that was like a very popular strategy when things were really good. And I'm a realtor, and I represent a lot of flippers and developers, and that was a very popular play that we were doing a lot in 2021 and 2022, where, yeah, I mean, if you're a builder and you're building at cost and you can build an ADU for 150 G's and then sell it for 350, like, come on, and you can do two of them on a lot. And ADUs are probably the fastest thing to permit in the city of Portland, probably the fastest thing to build, you know. So of the new development stuff, it was kind of the move. Anyway, sorry, I'm not really following the slides, but whatever, it's all good. Okay, this is all Claude. I'm really not fancy. I just kind of started with my ideas, and sat in my car on my phone making this thing. To be totally honest with you, you know? So if there's some weird text, it's not my idea or whatever. You know? It's just trying to make me look good or whatever. Yeah, I'm not sure if the font's kind of small. Okay, so basically, right, for ADUs and development in general, I'm kind of talking about them similarly. If you know the rules, if you know the zoning, then you start seeing opportunities everywhere. It all starts with the zoning. So if you can see what's possible, then deals that don't make sense for other people suddenly make sense to you. You know what I'm saying? So if you can learn all that, then you can take any site and see that there's actually a lot of creativity. There's a million things you can do. The other really important part of all this is just how are you going to pay for everything? Like, how are you going to build this? Are you going to go get a hard money loan and buy a property with the idea of building more ADUs? Are you going to, do it on a property you already have? Like turn a basement into an ADU, turn a garage into an ADU. So understanding the money, I think, is really important. And I think that's where I've seen some of my clients suffer because you might not think it all the way through, I think the builder is also kind of the core part, honestly, because we can all have ideas, but the contractor is the person actually doing it and actually there with the inspectors and actually trying to keep you on budget or whatever. So I think that, without the builder, it's kind of like a chicken and the egg a little bit. So but it's kind of hard. Like a builder won't really meet with you until you have plans. So it's, you got to waste a couple people's time before you get somebody to work with you. And then maybe I'll talk a little bit about maybe what the strategies are with ADUs, I guess. And I think this current moment, in Portland.
Jordan, one question.
Yeah, sure.
Is this purely going to be, are you only going to talk about adding a unit or buy the lot, tear down what's there, and put in a cluster of 4?
Yeah, I can talk about anything you guys want. I mean, it's all good. I think I personally do a lot more like fourplexes, sixplexes, apartment buildings, cottage clusters. So I don't really do that many ADUs, but I've helped a lot of clients do ADUs, helped people permit a lot of ADUs. But I think ADUs is really good. It's a great way to start. But I could talk about any of that stuff if you want to. That's more my bread and butter is like 4 units and above. And like what you were saying, Chris, it's like any lot can be 4 units now. So that becomes a huge opportunity if the numbers work. I mean, and that's the hardest part right now. The numbers, it's hard to make the numbers work.
So is that the city of Portland or all of Oregon, or
this is
4 units?
Yeah, this is just my knowledge is just to be real with you. All I really know is City of Portland because I kind of just went deep with City of Portland because it was really fucked up, and I just thought I just go into the fire and just try to stay there for as long as I could to understand. But different cities are implementing it. They're trying, but the cities have different timelines on how they do it. So yeah, everything I say is just a grain of salt, I would say. Yeah, none of it's guaranteed or anything. You know what I mean? Like every jurisdiction will be different, but what I've heard anecdotally is that other cities are easier than Portland. But who knows? Everywhere. There's no free lunch or whatever,
How firm are with the 800 limit?
Very firm, very
Really?
firm. With ADUs. That's what I'm. There's
I've
lots of
visited
alternatives.
some that they're like bigger.
Yeah.
And they said, "Do you got problems?" No, it's 1,000 square feet.
Okay. Yeah. There's other versions now. You can do this thing called accessory structure. I've done those. So it's not an ADU. It's accessory structure. There's things called cottage clusters. You can do detached duplexes. You can do a million fucking things. And also you can get variances. So yeah, nothing is ever really set in stone. But if you're making your pro forma based on it being 1,000 and you get to 800, then you just gotta live with the reality of that or whatever. But yeah, everything is, because the thing is, right, every developer or every reviewer is just a person, right? So you can always try a variance. And it speaks to the quality of your architect. Like the person that has a good relationship with people will actually help you a lot. But yeah, please, everyone, ask me questions anytime because then it's actually more real. Because I'm just
I'm trying to work on a property now, but I'm falling short on it. Partly so I had a 5-bedroom, 2-bath house, 1908 structure. Planned on doing kind of luxury finishes, main house, and doing ADU underneath, right up to 800 square feet.
Yeah.
What I ended up finding though is that particular neighborhood really wasn't up to that level. I mean, it's close,
Yeah.
outside skirts. So I really struggled with actually getting a really couldn't justify. It was a little concerning on the resale end if it would actually sell in time.
Yeah,
So
it's hard. Yeah, it's a hard moment right now. I think it's hard. It is. It's just a hard time to sell shit and to hope that it works the way you want it.
And,
You know?
and prices
Really?
could go down
Yeah.
as sales activity starts ticking up.
Yeah, I think it's I've been there too, man. I'm sorry. It's just hard.
yeah, Tuesday I'll be saying bye-bye. Most likely.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be able to close on the deal.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's good.
But if
It's
there's
good
any
that you're able to
investors
walk.
that got more, I have to use both gap and hard money.
I see.
If someone's got more of their own pocket money, this is actually a good deal. If someone needs wants a house over in Portland to pick up, just saying.
I'll take a look at it.
Brian Miller. All right.
I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it.
So yeah, this is just Portland, and I don't have to go super in detail, but I kind of wanted to just, and what's on that is basically that. And at the very back of the page, there's 2 websites on the city of Portland that give a lot more detail about the ADU code. And I tried to just tie it to the ADU code currently because I don't really know. I haven't done an ADU in a couple, like 4 or 5 years, but anyways, it's just changes. It's the basic fundamental thing, but it's changing, right? Okay. So in Portland, there's 4 ways you can do an ADU. You can convert part of your house. You can turn a basement or a garage into an ADU. You can add onto your house. You can do an addition that's attached to the house. You can convert accessory structure is turn a garage into an ADU or something like that. Or one that was illegally done, you can make it legal. Or you can build new ones, attached or detached. So what I'm kind of implying is, in the moment when development is kind of hard and more risky, you do the lowest hanging fruit, which is turn the basement into an ADU. Because that's the lowest, probably money and difficulty and time. It might not have you might not have the same margins, but it's probably the safest thing. And that's kind of good right now. Because you kind of need to think about what's your end goal? Are you trying to sell the house with an ADU and trying to get equity value from it? Are you just trying to keep it so you have cash flow? Are you trying to build 2 detached ADUs and then sell them and make money that way? So you really have to start with what your goal is at the end, and then that can kind of prescribe the strategy, I would say, in my experience. So anyways, this is just Portland, and Portland is kind of the most difficult, so you can assume that if you're in a different county, then it's going to be more chill, and you can probably do all these things, Yeah.
So let's say if you have a detached ADU, are you allowed to cut it or divide it and sell it separately, or no?
You can, not officially through the city of Portland, but you can do it through a condo registration with the state of Oregon. So you can make a condo registration and divide it however you want. You can make it, Unit A is ADU, Unit B is house. And then you can make the condo docs and everything to say that Unit A gets the yard, and who maintains the fence, and who whatever the fuck. But if they're detached, it's a lot easier. A detached condo registration is way easier. Because I've built a lot of multifamily where I do condo registration of apartment units, and that's way more difficult because it's you know what I mean? It's who maintains the roof and all that kind of stuff. So detached and condo, and that was a really big play for a long time because you could have 2 separate buyers of the house and the ADU, and they can get loans, and they're condo loans, and it's not that difficult to get. And the HOA is probably very low because there's no shared really anything. You know what I mean? I don't know, you got some mailbox you got together, and maybe if it falls over, but it probably is not big enough to be part of HOA, you know what I mean? So detached is a good way. Detached is the way right now. So, okay.
Hey, does that lower the value of the main home? Since it's converted
Yes,
into a...
totally.
Yeah.
So if you had a house with a big nice yard and now there's 2 fucking units back there,
Yeah.
that house is not $650 anymore, it's $500. So you're always kind of playing that balance. But the thing is if you got that land for free, then you just think, okay, the house is now $150 less, so I basically paid $75 a lot for the units for the ADU. So
is there a rule of thumb that you go by?
Personally, I mean, 75 is probably as expensive as I would go, but I've done a lot of projects where it's 20 a unit, and then everything's great.
Okay.
But
so
yeah.
when you build an ADU, let's say that the home is worth $500,000. is there like a price that it lowers? Like, is it like a 20% that it, like?
I think the best thing to do is just be super conservative. Like, just overdo it. Just be like, I know this would sell for $350 or $400.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like the $399 house in Portland is still pretty high, even with shitty interest rates. I think it's still a pretty popular thing.
Okay.
So if you can overdo it, and then you're still getting the land cheaper than if you would have bought a lot on its own, it's still a good dynamic. But you got to figure out the financing, but this is also why cottage clusters are the alternative to this and are kind of better, and kind of why I do that, because they can be 1,400 square feet, and you can divide the lots while you're doing it. So it's not like a janky condo registration that people. It still works, but if the condo registration is you're like going outside the rules a little bit. But if you divide the lots and they're on their own lots and they have their own water meter and everything, it's kind of cleaner. But it's a lot harder. It's going to take a lot longer to permit. It's going to be more expensive to build. So the ADU is kind of the good, easy gray area if you're dividing them. Easy gray area play. So
how does the land title registration work? You have a yard and you put an ADU on it, and you want to sell it. So then you are creating two parcels, and one is its own title for that.
yeah, you're making it's not like a land division through the city of Portland, but it is a condo plat. Like, so you use a surveyor as well, and they mark on the map who has what part of the yard. So they own. It's basically like a condo means you don't really own the land. You own everything above the land, kind of. You have the right to all of that. So it functions like separate lots, but it's not like a real land. Sorry, I'm just kind of talking technically.
But you still own the land, right? But the buyer.
Yeah, you'd still be able to. You'd still be able to sell it to somebody else. Like, let's say you bought it, and 5 years later you could sell it to somebody else.
So like a leasehold, basically.
Yeah, something. I might not be speaking exactly right, but you have the right to your yard and whatever is defined in the condo thing.
The only ones I've seen that are brand new construction, maybe 10 years ago, are upper East Moreland or south of Woodstock. There was some brand new homes in there. I think back 10 years ago, they were around 500 or 600,000. They just had a walkway down one side, and that was the access to the house in the back. And they were condominiums, and they were selling the 800 square foot condominiums at that point for around $275 or $350.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
But that was the only ones I've ever seen. There was 6 of them.
Yeah.
That were split like that. You own this walkway, and that's how you get to your house. No parking required. Anywhere,
Yeah, because it's like the condo rules are different. It's a whole different jurisdiction. Like the condo rules and the zoning and planning rules are completely different people. And the condo people don't really care as long as you got a complete application. You have to hire good people or whatever, but they're not like Portland, like where they're telling you we planted the wrong tree, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So in Portland, if you have, it depends. There's these different residential zones, and there are minimum. These numbers on the right. These are the minimum lot size that you need to do an ADU, and basically, if the lots are a little bit smaller, you see like the left column, that means you can do a house and one ADU. But the column on the right is if the lots are a little bit bigger, you can do a house and 2 ADUs. So that's kind of the play, right, with ADUs. It's like, and you can do different versions. Like you could have a house with a basement ADU and a detached ADU. You could have a house with an attached ADU and then a detached ADU. You can have a house and 2 detached ADUs. So it's smart to get the bigger lot. Try to get the bigger lot.
What is the minimum lot size?
In these different zones, like R20, for example, that's like the low density one. Back in the day, it used to be R20 means for every 20,000 square foot of lot size, you get 1 unit. R10 used to be every 10,000 square foot of lot size, you get 1 unit. But they've been upzoning it in the past 10 years. So those zones like R20, R10 are usually in neighborhoods where there are bigger lots, not as close to the inner Portland. So if you go all the way down to the most dense, which is R25, then the lot only has to be 1,500. So you could have a tiny little lot on 12th and Burnside that's 1,500, and you could have a house and an ADU and another ADU. If all the rules work, you know what I mean? It'd be hard to do all the setbacks. But you can do attached ADUs. ADUs don't have to be detached. Like I helped my friend Lewis, he bought a house across from the Kennedy School, on 33rd. And we bought the house for $450 or he bought it. I was his realtor. I didn't put any money in it. He bought the house and he put 100 into it, and he turned the basement into another unit, and then we built two more. He built 2 more units in the back.
And how big was the lot?
It's 5,000, so you can do anything on 5,000 these days. It just might be a little bit ugly and tight, but you can do it. So yeah.
What about the setbacks? Are they issuing any variances?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, ADUs have some rules about setbacks, like, let's see. Yeah, like, but also please don't quote me. Like, this would be good to talk to an architect. You always want to talk to an architect. You're not going to get anything done without an architect. So, what I found today is that they have to be 40 feet back from the street. So they have to be kind of.
What if you're on a corner?
Yeah, and if you're on a corner from the front lot line. So it depends on what the address is. So let's say you're on the corner of 33rd and Ainsworth or something. If the address is 33rd, 565 33rd, then that's the front lot line. But if it depends on what the address is. That's what they determine the front lot line.
And what's the setback from the other street then?
Then it'll be the normal ones, which are like 5 foot side setbacks, 5 foot rear setbacks. That's pretty normal. But again, please, there's more detail. I think it's right, but I'm not for sure. But that's why ADUs are kind of a pain in the ass, because it's a big setback, right? And cottage clusters and other things don't have that, so don't have those same restrictive. There's certain less restrictive things. You know what I mean?
One more question over here.
On your projects like the cottage clusters, you're talking about condo housing. What are the pros and cons of that versus something like the housing land division?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's the city of Portland did this thing called Middle Housing Land Division a couple years ago that allows you to divide lots as you're building projects. Traditionally, it's always been you have to do land division first for 2 years, then building permit for a year, then build for it's 4 years. It kill every project unless it's a really nice neighborhood. So Middle Housing Land Division is really revolutionary because you can divide the land in conjunction as you're building. So it has a similar timeline as condos and is a much more attractive thing at the end. And so either way, you're going to get screwed by somebody, right? So if you do the condo thing, you got to pay 25 G's or whatever the fuck to surveyor, lawyer, whatever. And if you do the Middle Housing Land Division, you got to do separate water lines and you got to pay the city for some bullshit. So somebody's getting some money. But the Middle Housing Land Division, you end up with a unit on its own lot, which means no HOA, which means higher value, which means the comps can be single family houses. Like I just did one where, and they don't have to be detached. Like I sold one, I'm doing all middle housing now, like Middle Housing Land Division. That's my main thing right now. I'd much rather have that over condos. I did one where I built a fourplex and we divided the land underneath it. So even though they're attached, they were all on their own lots. And then I sold those. I sold 2 of mine and my partner kept 2. But I sold those, and had they been condos, they probably would have sold for $50K less. Just because we'd have to have a $300 HOA, and it would have hurt people's buying power, and there's a stigma with condos, and for whatever reason, it's the same it looks exactly the same. It's not any different. I didn't put nicer flooring in it or anything, but it's just a better thing. So I'm a real strong proponent of Middle Housing Land Division. I think it's excellent. And I think it almost allows us to do subdivisions in cities. It's allowing me to do subdivisions in inner Portland, and allows me to end up with a product that's probably the easiest thing to sell right now. Because that's the thing with development, right? Like you really have to think about what's your exit, right? And so if I'm doing condos, maybe it's going to be a lot harder to sell these than I hoped, or harder to refinance. Like everything is harder when it's a little bit more not as vanilla, you know what I mean? So I think it's worth it. I think if you can do it, always choose that.
So was that fourplex on a 5,000 square foot lot?
Yeah, but I've done fourplexes on 2,800 square foot lots and 3,000 square foot lots. Like it's all good. It's just some really small yards or whatever. So ADU is 800 square feet, 20 feet high, basically 2 stories. And the advice I'd say is that if you're building small units, do nicer, taller ceilings. It's totally worth the money. And do a lot of windows, because who cares? It's not expensive, yeah.
That fourplex, how do you dictate who takes care of it, how the roof is taken care of?
Yeah, you create like a similar document like a condo bylaw, but it's shorter. And so it's just like an agreement between the owners that they would all sign at the end. And I use the same condo lawyer to sign it, but it doesn't mandate an HOA. It doesn't mandate like shared pooling of monthly expenses, but it would say like if the roof needed replaced, everyone needs to meet and get 3 bids or whatever, you know, like that kind of stuff. Or if the siding or whatever. And also in the plat, in the map of what you're describing, what you're doing, you do define who owns what and who maintains it. You know what I mean? So it's the condo bylaws are good, but there's just a stigma to it, and it has a HOA. Like condos actually do protect people, but it just when the interest rates are bad, any additional monthly expense will make it just less desirable. But I would say I've done a lot of condos because then you can get a higher value out of everything. So you gotta, you know what I mean? Like if I condoize an 8-unit multifamily, it's probably worth more as 8 individual units than it is as the multifamily because it's not about NOI anymore. It's about comps if I sell them individually or whatever. But it's also like a lot harder. Like it's, yeah, there's always some kind of compromise in this stuff. Right? Yeah, I don't know. This is not that. These are just there's certain rules about electrical, heating, plumbing, fire, life safety that apply to ADUs. And basically, just you talk to our architect about it. But what would I say? You know, like if you have an ADU in your basement, usually it can't all be on one panel. Like they have to be separate or sub panels or something like that. Or heating and mechanical, they have to have separate heating for each unit. So you couldn't have one furnace that served the house and the ADU. You could have a water heater that serves both. You could do that if you have a shared maintenance. Now I'm getting into the weeds, but this is all the stuff that you would consider as you were, like if you go and buy a flip and you say, I'm going to do a basement ADU, like you better bring the fucking architect that knows these rules because maybe the contractor doesn't care, you know. And it's no shade to contractor, but there's just a lot of dumb rules, you know. It's not anybody's fault, but
yeah. Well, like with the property I've got, it is already set up with Portland as 2 separate addresses. It's 506 and 508.
Okay.
And it, you know, separate panels, everything, just like you're saying. Basement ADU.
That's good. Yeah.
It has to have separate address.
Yeah. People like that too. Like if you're a renter, like you like just being able to pay your own utilities, and you like having your, or I don't know. It's cleaner also as landlords too to have that separate as well. So. And then the fire life safety is about safety of the building, like fireproofing and stuff.
Like when you have an old house and you have a furnace in the basement, and you want to turn the basement into an ADU, that furnace can't run the house because you have to have access to that furnace. So now you got a problem. You got to move the heating system out of the basement because you can't.
Or you make some.
That's a big problem. Yeah. House, you got a furnace.
Yeah, that's in the basement
of the house, and you can't cut that house up.
Yeah.
And heat the furnace.
That's right. Yeah. A lot of my clients that have done basement things, you usually just demo the whole furnace and put mini splits everywhere, and that's you call it a day. Kind of. But you can also do like a weird hallway that everyone can access. Like, but it's just weird. You don't really want to. You don't want something in the middle of the unit that is accessible by both people. It's just. It's gonna be hard to rent. Yeah.
Boiler.
Okay, I mean this is kind of short because I kind of want to keep it loose. You know, like we can just talk about it. But and this is also these are not necessarily real numbers exactly, but with my builder, I'm building like 175 a square foot right now. But I think if you got something, if you're talking about new construction, if you're in the 200s, you're probably fine. But if you meet someone that wants to charge you $400 a square foot, they probably have a really nice website, but I don't know if it's gonna work. You know what I mean? It just depends. But also, I'm just saying, you know, like it all depends on the neighborhood, all that kind of stuff, right? Like, because people are selling cottages for $500K for 800 square feet, and people are also selling cottages for $300K for 800 square feet. So there's a wide range of finishes and locations and build quality and all that kind of stuff. So you just got to do what your strategy is. You know what I mean? But what I was kind of saying at the beginning is that if you rank it from ease to most difficult, like I would say that probably converting an existing thing is easier than building a new thing. And because there's maybe less difficulty around moving utilities. Like, because maybe the basement already had a half bath already, and maybe the basement's already insulated, but you don't know. But maybe the basement's the wrong height. You got to dig it, so maybe that's not good. And also the city of Portland, if you're the homeowner they'll let you do a lot of the permits for the ADU if it's a conversion under your name. So they're trying to make it easier, you know what I mean? They're trying to make it so that an average person could turn their basement into an ADU, and could themselves bring some crappy drawing to the city of Portland that could get approved, you know. But I would say that if you're building to sell and you're building about profit, then probably new construction is the way to go. So again, it really just depends on what you're trying to do, and it really depends on like how much money you have, and are you trying to get a certain amount of cash flow? Are you trying to? Because like when everything was really good in 21 and 22, like I had clients that we were buying fixers for $350, and they'd put $250 into it and make a basement ADU, and they were selling for $750 over and over and over. And by turning the basement into an ADU, it was half their profit. You know what I mean? It was half of the profit. So I still think there's a large demand for houses with ADU. I think they're always very popular because it's multi-generational, or it can really offset your mortgage, or people, and there's a lot of opportunities. You can Airbnb it. You can. So it is a real way. It actually is probably the truest form of affordable housing in the city of Portland because it's the most accessible. It's the least difficult to make happen. So these costs are just kind of, this is all bullshit. So you just got to talk to the builder, right? You got to talk. You have to start with your plans. You have to decide what your finishes are. And again, like the neighborhood would dictate, right? Like if I can build an ADU for $150 that's worth $400, that's a good. And I can do two of them, that's a good project, right? And even if the house goes down $200, it might be worth it. But if I'm in a not such a great neighborhood, and because my builder come from Vancouver, like he doesn't like Portland wherever it is, you know what I mean? So it's a pain in the ass for him wherever my next project is. So I better pick the best location, you know what I mean? So in this market, I think you really got to be very, very picky about location.
So if you're building an ADU, you know, for increased space for your family, let's say.
Yeah, for sure.
How can an ADU be attached? Can it be attached by a breezeway?
Totally.
Does it have to have the same roof as the house?
You can do whatever you want, yeah. All of the above. They're okay with detached and they're okay with attached. It's whatever you want. It could be, like my very, very, very first project was I bought a house on 17th and Holman, like 17th and Ainsworth, and I turned the garage into an ADU, and I don't know what the fuck I was doing. And the guy hadn't patched the drywall, and I was already painting because I was sick of waiting for his ass. And clearly I didn't know what I was doing, but it worked out. You know what I mean? It's all good. But I think so. Attached can be anything, and that was just a garage door that was, you know what I mean? That was a door in the hallway.
So it was a separate.
Yeah, it was just a garage I turned into. It was a 70s garage that I turned into an ADU. So they're pretty open-minded about that. So that's why I'm kind of saying, like, if you don't have a lot of money and you want it to be kind of not super complicated, no shade on that, but the cheapest thing to do is to just convert something that already exists. Because like adding, let's say the windows in your basement, there's already bedrooms in there, but the windows are not up to code. Like you didn't do those well things. That's not that difficult. If you called 10 people, if you took one day and had 10 bids, you'd find out what the price should be. Just time, you know. So I do think that is kind of the best move, but it's maybe not the sexiest move. The sexiest move is like brand new and and like, and this builder's got a tracker and he's gonna send me exactly what's going on. You know what I mean? So, but
Real quick,
yeah.
Just for that question, if you're just trying to make your basement livable space, you don't have to do an ADU. You can make finished livable
Yeah,
space.
of course. Yeah, if your purpose is just additional living space, there's a lot of lower, more easy things to do with less red tape, with less difficulty, with less having to change panels or all that kind of stuff. But you just have to think about, like, yeah, you're exactly right. And I've done those a couple of times where it's like I'm just permitting as an additional living space because it's a lower bar and there's a faster review and it's cheaper. And I just wanted to have more bedrooms. Like if that's really the function, I just want more bedrooms, then do that. There's no need to do an ADU. But the ADU will help you on the exit. Like if you sold it and it had a legal ADU, it's worth more. So you gotta. But I completely agree. I think it's a really good way to just do it without worrying about it.
Comment. City of Portland used to make the ADUs match the architecture style of the house. They still do that.
Yes, they still do that stuff.
Okay. The other thing is the City of Portland has an ADU tour every year, and I've been on 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, those are
and
great.
You can talk with the builders that build them, but the ones that are built, the ones on tour, are typically around 400 to 500.
Yeah, they're the higher end, the fancier ones. Yeah.
The most of them average around 400,000, And it's like, huh?
Yeah, so that's not, it's
And
not
the
really
other thing
affordable
is
housing.
The city of Portland used it, then they changed the law about 4 or 5 years ago. You can put a trailer in your driveway and rent it out as an ADU, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And the neighbors can't stop.
There's a great person named Cole Peterson.
Cole Peterson.
Cole Peterson, he's the guy. So you should look up his name, Kol Peterson, and he's like the pioneer of a lot of amazing stuff in Portland. And he really advocates like just get a pad for a trailer for 5 Gs, put a concrete pad and 30 amps and a sewer clean, whatever. And he does it, yeah.
He did it at his own house.
Yeah.
He put it detached.
So like, if you're really talking about pure affordable housing, it doesn't need to be all glamorous. But a lot of people are doing ADUs as like it's like a project. You know what I mean? It's like and it's fun and it's all good. But like, yeah, I remember meeting my builder at one of his clients' ADUs, and the tile in the kitchen was $50 a square. You know, like ridiculous tile, and it had veered out of the realm of investment so long ago. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't. There were no more numbers or whatever.
If you don't mind, it's a tough question, but it's like the ADUs that are rented out as Airbnbs, and I'm trying to learn more about like horror stories of people that aren't legally, you take a buyer into a house and you find out the ADU isn't legitimate, and what kind of horror stories there, and then also people renting them out on Airbnb and running into issues.
Yeah, that's all really good points. Yeah, a lot of people have done things that are not ADUs and claiming it's ADU, and a lot of realtors might not know how to double check that, and the city is really slow to get back to you, so you might not find out during your inspection period. So there are ways to find out for sure if it's an ADU. Like on Portland Maps, it'll show like a separate building permit, but I've heard people get in bad situations like that for sure.
It shows up as another address.
Yeah, it should show up as like Unit A, Unit B, or a different address or something like that.
It doesn't even always tell you for sure.
Yeah, it might.
It says it's a duplex, and it is by the county's size, but not the city.
Not the
size.
city. Yeah, it's all possible, bro.
Portland Map, it says duplex, but it's not.
Yeah, and then the Airbnb thing is like the city has a very clear website about how to get permits for all that, so it's really clear, and it's very difficult and it's not a joyful process because they don't want you to have Airbnbs because Airbnbs completely diminish the source of affordable housing. Like Airbnb is the opposite of affordable housing. Right? So they're trying to disincentivize you to do Airbnb.
But that's why they give you the choice. If you build one and you want to convert it to an Airbnb, then you need to pay the tax.
Yes.
It's like $30,000. So, but if you don't want to pay the tax, then you cannot have an Airbnb.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
That's part of the rule. So, and there are people who try to get away with not doing it, not paying it, and they get nailed because the city goes after them because they said you're running an illegal operation here because you don't have permission to do an Airbnb.
Yeah, you're exactly right, sir. Yeah, you knew the next slide. They have a there's this thing called system development charges, fees you pay for the permit, and if you agree to not do Airbnb for 10 years, they'll waive it for you. So that's cool. This slide I don't know if it's totally right, which is they've waived STCs generally for all my projects. I've saved lots of money on STCs because, like what you're saying, like the production is collapsed, so they're just trying anything they can do to incentivize people to add units.
But aren't you selling to low income?
The new thing that there's a program called like inclusionary housing, STC exemption for affordable housing. So people traditionally, if you want to save the 25 or 30,000 per unit, you make an agreement that you're selling at a certain price and to people at a certain income, maximum income, and the city verifies their income as part of the purchase. But now the program that they just did in August is that they're waiving STCs regardless of affordability. So they've just opened the whole door because no one's doing it. It doesn't make sense anymore at 7%.
I mean, the 900 square foot place in detached in Milwaukee is $250. You go to Southwest Portland, it's $450.
Yes.
And then you go to Lake Oswego, it's $775.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah. You're exactly right. It just speaks to location is more important than what you're building.
No parking required. Yeah. Some of them have carports if you have carports, but basically in most cases there's no on-street parking. Just look at the units down the street, they're 200 feet. There's 7 or 8 of them on a 50 by 150 foot lot, or 35 by 150 foot lot. Just down here, you know, like, there's no parking, there's like 8 units here, and they're all 5 foot backyards, and who's gonna buy this for 450?
Right. Yeah. All true. This is, I don't know. You can pay for an ADU a lot of different ways. That's basically what I'm saying. You can do a HELOC, you can do private money, you can do hard money loan, you could get a 203 FHA, like a rehab loan, and I think you can do ADUs under that as well.
If you were going to try and fund an ADU for yourself when you were getting started, right now,
what would I have done? Yeah.
What would you have done?
I think if it's your primary residence, then do the HELOC. Do the money that's the lowest interest and doesn't mess up your mortgage, and doesn't need to be repaid immediately. Like if you take that 50 from a private money lender and they want that money back in a year, and the market's not as good as you thought, you couldn't reappraise it, you couldn't sell it, then what are you gonna do? But the HELOC, if it's more open. Also, please, I don't know everything, but like if it's more open-ended, it doesn't have a more urgent payoff, then the income from that ADU should cover that. You know what I mean? So I would try to pursue the money that has the slowest time to repay. Or what I did, honestly, I knew I wanted to do real estate, so I quit my fucking job and I gave my 2 weeks notice and I applied for a Lightstream $25,000 loan like the day before my last payroll posted, so it looked like I had a job. And I used that $25K to do my ADU, you know, and it's all good. It worked out. It was great. So I paid it all back in a year, but so there's no shame in it. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But it wasn't maybe the best decision, but it was like, how am I going to get this last 25 for this ADU, you know, before I leave this job, you know. But yeah, something that doesn't require you to repay it so quickly. That's basically the ethos of it. Okay, finding a builder. This is my sixplex that I did. Okay, the builder. I think it's really, like, for me, it's a lot about like the quality of the person. Like for me, my builder, I really felt very clearly right away the integrity and the quality of a person he was. That was super clear to me. And he was also referred to me by my lender, my hard money lender. So that hard money lender had already seen him build other stuff and seen it go well. So that's really powerful to see people that have done it before. If you're interviewing a builder, you should really try to see if you can go meet them on a job site, see what they're actually building, and maybe talk to one of their customers. I mean, I'm talking if you want to be a nosy client or whatever, but talk to one of their clients about how it was, did they go over budget, how was it? But when I first started, I didn't know anybody, so I called I found the Portland Home Builders Association. I called everybody, and like 10% of people call me back. You know, and, you just talk to people. But the builder won't really mess with you unless you have plans, right? Because if you go to a cafe and you're like, yeah, 150 a square foot or 200 square foot, like it's just talk. You know what I mean? Because every building is a little bit different. Every site is a little bit different. You know.
So where do you get the plans? You have to have an architect.
Yeah, you need an architect. Yeah. You need an architect. So that's why an architect is a really good first person, even before the builder, actually. The architect is actually the foundation, yeah. What'd you say?
Can Claude do it?
I mean, Claude might be able to do it now. I mean, ADU, what I'm also saying is ADU is not super difficult, right? It's the lowest difficulty plan right now. But if you start with the architect, they should be able to help you screen all the projects to know whether something's possible. Like, your architect should be your due diligence partner, should be the person helping you talk you out of deals. You want an architect that's talking you out of deals, not a yes man that's saying yes to everything. And also this, when I didn't know about this, but when I was doing some research today, the city has some pre-approved plans actually that they got from the city of Eugene that they just published on their website a year ago. And so there's 3 or 4 designs that are actually pre-approved by the city of Portland, and they still need you to fit the ADU on your site and meet all the site-specific requirements, but it makes the review more easy. So that's a really good, and I put that link in the back of the thing, because that's actually a really cool opportunity for people to have something go faster. And if you don't need the fanciest shit, like this also could work totally fine. You know, if you don't want a $400,000 ADU or whatever. Yeah.
don't have all
The builder is so key, though. The builder is really the key. The architect and the builder are your two most important people.
But I've looked at
Because the lenders kind of change. There's many lenders and there's many projects and properties.
Some architects have ADU designs posted on the website.
Totally. Using people's existing design is a good way to save yourself time and money.
Before I used to have them, they used to share. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah, there's a lot of ADUs out there. And I will, if you guys want, I'll happily give you my builder's number and my architect's number because I want them all to make money. I don't give a shit. And if you're respectful to them, they'll work with you. And if you're an asshole, they won't. So there's the self-selection. You know what I mean? It's all good. So yeah, I'd be happy to give. I could give it to you now, or if you come find me, I'll give you that information. But my architect is my teacher. Like without my architect, I wouldn't be here at all. He taught me all this stuff. And I don't really do much ADUs, but he taught me the more difficult multifamily and stuff like that. But like, he's met me at a lot of sites that didn't turn into any money for him. You know what I mean? Okay. We kind of talked about this already. Okay, let's say an ADU like costs you $250 to make. Like an ADU costs you $250, and let's say that $250 ADU gets you $1,800 a month as long-term rental income. So that's like an 8 or 10% return on your cash. You know, just like very, very basic math. And maybe that's cool, and maybe that's what you want. You know, like it's all good. And it'll also improve the value of your house, right? So there's also that, right? It's not like that money disappears. You know, like especially if you built a $250,000 ADU, if you didn't do the land division, the house probably would have gone up that much as well. Probably the cost. Maybe not, maybe less, but probably close. And then if you do the condoized thing or the whatever, maybe it's even more. So I think the ADU thing is about both equity and cash flow. So you got to just think about what are you trying to prioritize and what. And if it is just intergenerational live, like, you know, you want your mother-in-law to come live with you, then none of this doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? It's just like a $200,000 thing is much cheaper. Like if she went out to buy a $200,000 apartment, it'd be pretty crappy. So no matter what, you're still getting the land subsidized. You're still getting the land for free, kind of. Whether that's in the basement or it's in the side yard. So you're already a little bit ahead than you would be had you went and got to buy a lot. So that's why I have a lot of clients that, as a realtor or whatever, that like they're trying to break in or whatever. And I'll just say, do a project, remodel a house and build 2 ADUs. Remodel a house and build 1 ADU. It's a great first project. It's a great way to build a relationship with a builder. Because like, if you trust them with a $200K, then maybe you'll trust them on the fourplex with $1 million, or $1 million, you know, remodel budget. So I think it's a really good way to start. I think I talked about this a little bit. The strategies that I've seen in play in Portland with ADUs is people condoizing them and selling them separately. That's like you can make profit by refinancing them separately, or you can sell them. You can do it to just offset your mortgage. You know what I mean? Like you're just doing it as because if you have a basement that's like pretty close and you can put $50K into that basement and now you're getting $1,500 a month, that's a great return on investment. Like that's $20K on your $50K, you know, per year. So in 3 years, you're good. So like, I personally would advocate for that a lot more than going and building a detached ADU because you get your money back, you know. So that's why that's the lower hanging fruit and the faster thing to do. So, and then the other one, flip or burr, like you buy a house and you add an ADU through the basement or detached, and then you sell the whole thing, or you refinance the whole thing, and you're banking on the increased equity. The safest thing to do with all this stuff is like leave the equity alone, and just if the equity works, it's a bonus. But if the cash flow is fine, then you're fine. Like if you spent all the money and you couldn't sell it, can it cover itself? Like that's just it. That's like actually the only question I would ask you.
How does the condoizing that permit process work as far as how they charge? Do they charge by square footage? Do they charge by how many units? Is it flat fees? Is it?
Yeah, usually the condo attorney, it's like 10 G's, might be flat fees. If it's fewer units, maybe it's 5. I mean, I don't know.
So that's for the attorney then?
There's an attorney, there's a surveyor,
right.
There's a title person, and there's the county people that you have to pay. And so the attorney is one person who makes all the documents. The surveyor comes and draws the map. The county people, you just write them checks. and the title people do the shit for free for you because they want you to close the escrow with you. So, but again, like this, you can't divide ADUs on their own lots under the Portland rules. So condo is the only way to do that, and so that's why I kind of would advocate to do cottage cluster. If you're really trying to build more units, do cottage cluster because you can make them bigger. They can be on their own lots, and they waive the SDCs anyways.
Is there a limit how many you can put in a cluster?
You can do up to 16 units on a cottage cluster.
Up to 16?
But there's all these rules about outdoor area, blah, blah, blah. So on a 5,000 lot, that's never going to happen. It's if you had a house, you maybe add 2. If you demo the house, maybe add 4. I'm doing 23 units of cottage cluster this year. I really like cottage cluster.
And how big is your lot?
One of them, I'm doing 9 on a 12,000 square foot lot. I'm doing 6 on a 9,000. I'm doing 8 on a 25,000. That's a big lot. That's like a 5 times lot. I like cottage cluster because I want the exit at the end to be the safest for me. I want to be able to sell them separately. I want to be able to refinance them separately, and I want to have the least. I'm only at this place because I've done a lot of multifamily and had my ass kicked a little bit the last couple of years. Let's be honest with you. So I'm trying to do the easier thing. You know what I mean? To do density, but to end up with a single family house. That's a cool combination. You know, as opposed to like, right? If I buy a house and I build one house next to it, I'm not gonna make very much money. I'm gonna make $50K on something like that, maybe $100K if everything's cool. But it's just not worth it, right? So I'd rather do projects. I want to do projects that are 4 units, 6 units, 9 units, and so the cottage cluster has been the door to that, you know, and 4plexes too. 4plexes are great.
So Jordan, I guess like what you've learned, like you know, your first project was doing an ADU, converting your garage.
Yeah, that's right.
And now you've become a developer, and you've been through, you know, pretty tough cycle developing multifamily at the peak. What can you share, I guess, that you wouldn't do over again?
Yeah,
like,
I probably wouldn't do any more apartment buildings. Personally.
Yeah.
I wouldn't build any more apartment buildings. And I'm holding the bag on 2. You know, I got some big 12 units, 9 units that are hard to refinance. I would say that if you can start at the end and think about what are you going to have at the end and what's the easiest thing to sell or refinance or rent, that's a good thing. And I would also say, like, don't rush. I would say that the quality of the team is the most important thing, and the projects come and go. The projects are so come and go, and so I'd rather take a year finding a really good builder than rush it. I'd rather do it slowly. And I think with this ADU thing, I would do the thing. I would really just compare, like, okay, is it $50 to do the basement? It's $200 to build a new one. I would just do the math of like, what's the rent relative to my cost? Like, just straight up rent relative to the cost. Because that's the problem with my apartment buildings, is that the rates have gone up, all my utilities and taxes have gone up, and so it just doesn't work anymore. So.
Well, rents haven't gone up.
Or whatever. All right, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean interest rates. Sorry.
Interest rates have gone up.
Interest rates have gone up. Yeah, that's sorry. I misspoke. I mean interest rates are up and my expenses are up, so I'm screwed. You know. And thankfully I did on this condo, so I have a little bit more options. But I'd much rather own a house and 2 ADUs than a 10-unit apartment. You know what I mean? Like in this market, because everyone's valuing apartments by NOI, so you can't hide, right? You can't hide from the truth of the numbers of your rent and your expenses. There's nothing to hide. But if you're selling like a detached cottage cluster for 900 square feet, like the person's buying it for 500 because like there's concrete floors and like fucking rejuvenation light fixtures. It's not about the math, you know what I mean? Like if you can move into the realm of real estate that's not about the math, for your exit, I think it protects you a lot, you know what I mean? Like be kind of more consumer focused. Sorry, I'm all different kind of ideas here.